So let me tell you what is going on around the country, because you matter. Your work matters. People are focusing on the national level, and that's a mistake. I think. I mean, some people have to do it, and that's good. We have to watch all of it, but let's make sure that we are engaged at a local level. Oklahoma Republicans have put a bill together that would ban critical race theory from being taught in your school. I have a guest on that later on today. In Oklahoma, they're going to ban critical race theory. Lawmakers, another headline, in 2 states target teaching of critical race theory and the 1619 Project. West Virginia bill, ban agencies from touting divisive concepts like the U.S. is fundamentally racist. Chinese American organization denounces critical race theory, hateful, divisive, and manipulative fraud. Next headline, what are Georgia universities teaching about white privilege? A representative is asking. Iowa State Legislature introduces a bill to ban critical race theory programs that traffic in racial stereotyping and collective guilt. There are people at the state level that are moving. Is your state? Where is Texas on this? Why hasn't Texas led the way? Where is Florida? We need our strong Republican states to do this now. There is another story that is out, and I want to read it to you verbatim. This is from the Washington Post. It's been a bad 12 months for the practice of civics in America. The U.S. Capitol attacked by thugs, an alleged plot to kidnap a state governor, bogus claims of widespread election fraud, violent protests in the streets, death threats against public health officials, and a never-ending barrage of anger and misinformation on social media directed at and by politicians, leaders, pundits, and increasingly bitter and frustrated populace. As the battles have raged, trust in institutions, government, media, the law has plummeted. So how did we get here? And how do we get out? Now, seeing that this is the Washington Post, brace yourself for the answer. For many close observers, a direct line can be drawn from today's civic crisis to a long-standing failure to adequately teach American government, history, and civic responsibility. What? Breadth has been emphasized over depth, they say. And the cost is citizenry largely ignorant of the work needed to sustain a democracy. We're not a democracy. That is the first thing everyone needs to learn. We are a democratic republic. A republic hires representatives because a democracy always fails. Now a diverse collection of academics, historians, teachers, school administrators, and state education leaders is proposing an overhaul of the way civics and history are taught to American K-12 students. And they're calling for a massive investment of funds, teacher training, and curriculum development to help make that happen. 5 years ago, I could have read this and went, okay, maybe. 20 years ago, I would have said amen. Today, God help us all. The Educating for American Democracy initiative will release a 36-page report and an accompanying 39-page roadmap Tuesday. That's today. Laying out extensive guidance for improving and reimagining the teaching of social studies, history, and civics, and then implementing that over the next decade. The partnership diagnosis is urgent and unsparing. Quote, civics and history education has eroded in the U.S. over the past 50 years, and the opportunities to learn these subjects are inequitably distributed. The report states dangerously low proportions of the public understand and trust our democratic institutions. Majorities are functionally illiterate in our constitutional principles and forms. The relative neglect of civic education in the past half century, a period of wrenching change, is one important cause of our civic and political dysfunction, end quote. This from the same people that told us the 1776 report that was issued by Donald Trump's administration wasn't real history. Work on the report began 2 years ago with a $650,000 grant from the Education Department and the National Endowment for the Humanities to come up with a plan to address what some have described as an existential issue for the country. This is why they hated the 1776 report so much. They were already working on something. Now, why wouldn't you take the 1776 thing and go, you know what, we're already doing that. There's a lot of good stuff in there, but look, you can A-B compare. They fold right into each other unless they disagreed with one another. The emphasis on diverse viewpoints and input was intentional and necessary, said Louise Dubois, Executive Director of iCivics, a nonpartisan nonprofit founded in 2009 by former Supreme Court Justice Sandra Day O'Connor to promote and create content for civic education in schools. Dubois headed work on the report along with leaders in civic education from Harvard, Tufts, and Arizona State Universities. This project is about restoring the ability to self-govern, and clearly we have a serious problem with that right now. At the core of what self-government requires is for you to understand the history, to understand it from multiple perspectives, to know more history, but also to be able to talk and discuss with others who disagree with you and form a path forward. And all of those things are very critical right now. My gosh, this sounds like a hero story. Finally, somebody's going to run to our rescue. Finally, the education system gets it. Finally, they're going to implement something as great like this at a time when critical race theory is being touted by our educators, by our teachers' unions, by our government. Oh my gosh, they're going to come in and change it. Don't think so. I don't think so. We all keep saying, when are they going to open the schools again? When are our kids going back to school? I got news for you. A big part of me says, never. I hope to God, never. Because they are developing nothing but an indoctrination camp from K through a doctorate program. Our kids do not stand a chance. This has to be stopped. I don't know about this. I'm going to wait for the report to come out and see what they're actually saying. But critical race theory must be stopped. And the only way it will be stopped is if you are on the front line. If you are battling it yourself in your own community. If you are taking this on. I know far too many people who agree with the things that you and I agree with that are saying, yeah, I'm just taking a break. I can't take the news anymore. Believe me, I know. Believe me, I know. But you can't take a break. Do you see how fast things are moving now? You cannot take a break. These are the times that try men's souls. You have to stand in your local community.